yourself, bro?
Well, first of all, I just want to say I'm humbled by even being here, being invited to this platform. I mean, it's something that you're doing. I think is absolutely remarkable as far as telling the stories that haven't been told before, and people seeing things from different angles and different aspects when it comes to not only just Lufkin or East Texas, just the game period. But I am a Lufkin product through and through. Everything I've achieved came from the pedigree that I was taught for people that came before me. So anything that I did was trying to replicate what I seen people do before me, and it's kind of crazy, like you don't know how high you can jump till you see somebody jump high.
Right.
You're like, man,
right,
I want to jump that high one day.
Right.
And Lufkin, all I did was growing up seeing the heights that people had, and that was an example of what you can do. And hopefully whatever I did, that's what somebody did after me.
Right. That's dope, man. That's dope. So, going to your childhood, man. I'm gonna start it off like asking everybody this question, man. Like, from where you is now, from where you came to where you are now, if you could describe your journey in one word, what would it be?
Blind.
Blind.
Blind. And I say that because the road I traveled, no one really can give me direction on because I was one of the first ones to do it and to do it the way I did it. So a lot of it has been one thing when you're blind, you learn how to navigate through things by bumping into a lot of stuff along the path and understanding after a while you understand where those roadblocks are and how to avoid them.
All right. That's dope. Okay, so when did like sports become a part of your life? The earliest you can remember. When did like sports, not just particularly football, but just any sports, like when did it become a part of you?
Man, long as I can remember. Growing up as a kid, the most influential person in my life was my grandmother. As a little kid, every Sunday I watched the Houston Oilers and the Dallas Cowboys with her every Sunday. People had a story of the dad that was there. It was my grandmother. Yeah, that's who. Yeah, she set the tone. Funny, she did.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
that's dope, man. When did moving on from the earlier, like when did you kind of know that like, maybe I'm a little bit different, like maybe I'm a little bit talented? Like when did it kind of hit you?
I'd say about seventh grade, because growing up in a small town, even though you fast, even though you athletic, you just such and such boy, and you just doing what you're supposed to do.
Right.
It wasn't until, and I started off in, even though I lived in Lufkin, I started off in going to school in Diboll. Mm-hmm. So everybody there, no matter what I did, it was just such and such son. But once I moved to Lufkin and started surrounding myself by other people who had, around the same capabilities and testing my abilities with those type of guys, where I understood like, man, maybe I do have, maybe I can jump a little bit, maybe I can run a little faster.
Right.
But we're in Texas, so no matter what you do, you get humbled any day.
Right.
But about seventh grade though.
Yeah. And who was one of those people that maybe he's round the way guy, just a person from the neighborhood, just anybody that was a male figure that you looked at that maybe gave you some push that you want to like give some kudos to, that maybe you haven't told them or maybe you have, but I'm saying like who was one of those guys that, looking back on it as the man you are now, like who was one of those guys that like...
That's easy. My brother. My brother was an all-state basketball player and receiver. Like I said, you watch somebody jump. You don't know how. And all I did was watch my brother dunk and run past people. And whereas though other people, I watched them on Friday nights, and on Saturday morning I tried to do what my brother did the night before.
Right.
So that big brother influence is where it started at. So it's my brother.
Right. Okay. Now let's get to like middle school is one thing.
Right.
It was y'all had two different middle schools, right?
East and West.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about those days.
It's crazy being such a small town, and you got two different high schools on opposing sides of the tracks, and different cultures,
Okay.
And even though these are your cousins, your friends, and family, it absolutely created the most competitive part of you because you really seen them as the opposition. As the young boy said, the ops. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like in every sport, every situation, dance battle, it didn't matter.
Yeah,
that's
right.
where it was a challenge every time you seen these guys.
Right.
So that the dynamics in that, but I kind of like it. I know it's different these days because they go to one school, but we like that competitive attitude. You earn the respect of one another.
Right.
And then by the time you got to high school, y'all couldn't wait to play together.
Right.
And like
Because
I said,
these are guys that you've been competing against, you know
the
what
whole
I mean?
time.
Middle
But it's
school.
family.
Yeah,
But
but
y'all
now
been
y'all
together.
go to that's a crazy dynamic.
Right.
Now y'all all at the same.
It's like
high
an all-star
school,
game with that,
and now
yeah.
it's kind of like you get the best of the best. How was
Right.
that? Because I could have been the man. I thought I was the man at this school in middle school, and they got this guy at the other middle school, and then we get to the high school. You know what I mean? It's the same competitive dream.
Yeah, it's
How was that,
competitive.
like teaming up with guys that you've been battling against that whole time?
Honestly, like I said, it's hard to compare with most things because it's a small town.
Yeah.
One thing is, and it's life for you.
Yeah.
So once y'all got together, like I said, the respect was earned. So some guys, they knew by the time you got to high school, you was not better than me.
Right.
Other people
Yeah.
knew, like, hey man, when I get to play this guy, we're gonna ball out.
Yeah.
And so honestly, by the time we got our sophomore year, it was a brotherhood.
That's
at
dope.
that one time, and it's that iron sharpens iron type of situation.
That was dope, man. Give me a couple guys once y'all got to high school, like you knew, like, okay, I knew he was gonna be there because I played against him. Like, what were those times like when you did get to high school, like?
Man, when you get to high school, especially you coming around from the 8th and 9th grade, your biggest goal is to make it to varsity. And it's a humbling situation because once you get there, you're that guy, and you start looking at the guys who you're trying to play with or compete against. And I could just drop names like Michael James, Ant back in the day.
Right.
I could talk about even my own classmates who stepped up, like Michael White. I could talk about Ken LaRue's and people got hurt in the process. But once we got to high school, it took it to another level. But if I could say anybody who, once I got to high school, I say Mike James.
Mike James.
He was the
What position did Mike play?
He was a safety.
Okay.
And he was the epitome of a football player.
Right.
Boy didn't wear no socks, didn't wear no gloves, just raw.
Right.
Just raw. He couldn't get hurt. He was like invincible.
Come on, man.
I mean, he was an X-Man.
Right.
Yeah, that's what he was.
Yeah.
But no, he was a tempo, man. Just dirt, gritty football player, and then he had no fear.
That's
And
crazy.
then he just set the tone. Like, I'm not ready because I can't play like Mike James.
Yeah,
Because I'm still nervous. That's a big running back over there.
Yeah.
Mike didn't care.
Bro.
And I had to build that. So he set the expectation, and he level set. If you're gonna play football, Lufkin, that's what you need to be like.
Wow, that's dope, man. That's dope, and that's big of you to say that, because some people, it's a lot of envy, jealousy, you know what I'm saying, and not wanting to admit that, you know what I'm saying, to be able to grasp that and say, to make you want to elevate your game to a level of Mike's, that's dope. So with all those great players that you naming, when did your mind shift and start thinking about college, bro? Like, I mean, like you playing high school with all these great guys, were guys going to college, you know, like that put it on your mind, or like did you have you start to think about that on your own? Like, what was that process?
I think it hit me going into my junior, going into senior year. The number one safety in the nation was in the same district as us, named Lee Jackson, and I knew head to head how I played the game. I was just as good or better than him at the position.
No doubt.
Now, and so with him being my classmate, and I knew we grew up playing against this guy, and I'm like, yo, this guy's not doing anything that I'm not doing. And if he's getting recruited like this, I know I can get recruited.
Right.
And honestly, what I did was I checked his stats every game, and I wanted to beat every stat that he had. So he kind of became the GOAT I was chasing at the time.
Wow. Okay, then that's crazy. What was his name?
Lee Jackson.
Lee Jackson.
He was from Longview, Texas.
Wow. Okay,
Yeah.
so how? What did you ultimately end up going to school at?
I ended up going to UNC Chapel Hill. I know it's a basketball school, per se, but they were number 4 ranked team in the nation in football and had number 1 defense in the nation. And at that point in time, that year I got recruited, they had sent 4 dudes in the first round. And I was, coming from Lufkin, Texas,
Right.
number 1 defense recruiting you play defense. It was a hell of an achievement, but it wasn't easy, but it was a hell of an achievement.
So what was the recruiting in that time, in that class, in that time period? What was the recruiting like in Lufkin, Texas, with guys we know now, Les Miles and these guys always come through there? You guys kind of laid that groundwork for some of this smooth sailing, you know what I'm saying? These smooth roads that these guys think that it is now. But y'all paved the way for that. But what was it like? Were y'all having college recruiters all stay on campus like that, or like
Nah.
how did who all recruited you?
Coming out, nobody. Sophomore year, nobody. What happened was our classmates, our sophomore year, there was a guy named Timothy Spencer. He was a prototypical college D tackle as a sophomore in high school, and he started getting letters from Notre Dame, and
Wow.
Desmond Garcia was getting letters, and Miguel McKay, they were getting letters from D1 schools. I'm like, man, they the same age as me, and we could play together. They getting recruited while I'm not.
Right.
So at that point, when I started understanding the recruiting process, I like, man, they don't know me.
Right.
So now it's funny. Greg Garcia, Courtney Garcia's father.
Courtney Garcia's father. Okay.
Yes, he was the guy who was like, hey, you're just as good. Y'all can play just like these guys. And what he did is he started making highlight tapes for us.
Wow.
And we got the addresses of all the
Shout out to Mr. Greg.
Yeah, Mr. Greg Garcia. We got the addresses of all the colleges you want to go to, their recruiting office, and we started flooding it with videos of highlights of us.
Wow.
And funny story, kind of fast forward that when I got to college, I showed my coaching staff, they looked at our highlight film from my senior year. And after them looking at our highlight film, they started sending letters to about 5 people after
Come
that.
on, man.
Yeah, people started getting letters from Carolina after that. Coaches said, how in the world y'all had all that talent on one team?
That's crazy.
So after that, and not knocking anybody, but the proof is in the pudding. Our class of '98 was the first class that had multiple D1 scholarships.
Come on, man. Do you remember those guys? Come on.
Yeah,
Who was it?
yeah. You had Courtney Garcia that played at University of Texas.
Shout
you
out
had myself went to Carolina. You had Desmond went to Arkansas. You had Jerry McLeod that went to Kansas State. You know, we all won a class. Now the thing is, you had a few more people played D1 AA, but we had a lot, like 8 guys get scholarships to JUCO. Maybe the path wasn't there for them to go to the other point, but they had the talent. But as far as major universities, you had 4 guys that played there in the one class to go at that point in time. And after that, you seen Terrence Kill. After that, highly decorated. Because after that, the spotlight was there. And every class after that, you're to your Reggie McNeils. Once that spotlight was on Lufkin, and it's not saying we were those guys. We're saying, all the hard work that other people was doing, and we found a way to navigate through it. Now it's paying off. And like I said, we were that first class, but we were the first because of the Brian Gilmore's, who went to Midwestern State but was a baller. You know what I'm saying? It was the Jacoby Shepherds, JUCO went to the league. It was Jason Alford, those guys they were ballers, but they went JUCO, but they left and came back and told us ways to avoid certain barriers and obstacles, And man, you could play at this level. I seen that, you got it, and they spoke that truth into you. So we were the end product of all those guys, and they started where we were at. I mean, what you seen is what they invested in, and you would see what trickled behind that.
That's dope. Now move forward to Carolina. The same way you looked at Mike James and these people, and you felt like you wanted to get to that level to know that you belong. When you got to Carolina, did you feel you was over your head, or you was like, oh, I could do this?
No, I felt like I could do it.
Oh, okay.
When I first got there, I had so much pride being from Lufkin. And the only guy from Texas on the team, I took a lot of pride being from Texas.
Only guy from Texas?
Yeah, I was the only guy from Texas on the team at the time, and I took a lot of pride being from Texas. So I played with a chip on my shoulder. That right there, getting on campus, and I had a #1 DB in the nation. That was my big brother, the guy named Dre Bly. He was my brother, and he set the tone for us, the work ethic and your expectations when you came here. But not to even get into the name dropping like that, but I was fortunate.
It's
enough to
facts
play.
though. Let's get into
I
it.
was
That's what the
fortunate enough to
Underground
play.
Go show is about, man. Because a lot of people act like that. Like I've talked to guys, man, the laundry list is long with the people that I've talked to and that I want to talk to and I want to bring on. When I talk to them, they kind of shun away from that. Like, no, bro, you know what I'm saying? Like, it needs to be documented. Like, these about Diboll, I was your guy. Let's go ahead. Like, it was a lot of people on that Carolina team. Like,
I mean, you walk in, I'm classmate with one of the greatest defensive players of all time with Julius Peppers. That's my classmate.
Who else on that team? Give me some of those names, man.
Man, let's see. Okay, I came in with Dre Bly, played with Algie Crumpler, was my roommate, Willie Parker.
Shout out.
Ryan Sims. So when Julius Peppers went number 2 overall in the draft, Ryan Sims went number 6 overall in the draft. And we all the same class. I played with the number 1 player. At this time, they didn't have ESPN rankings, but he was the number 1 player, the Gatorade All-American for as football and basketball, Ronald Curry. So, you know, he go to the Virginia. This is the people that Allen Iverson and Michael Vick, he's a god to them. So those are the guys that I played with. And the guys that broke Peter Ward records, Bozzie Allen, you know, those type of guys who just set so many, like, how can I say? They set the tone.
Yeah.
And, but like I said, gritty, grinding, coming from Lufkin, Texas, East Texas boy. They didn't know who I was. I wanted to show them who I was. So when I came out there and having those guys, the competition level was so high. But you play with those guys, but then you get on the field, you got to play against a Peter Ward. Yeah. You know, you're like, yo, hold up, this dude go for Heisman?
Right.
Like, this is what we playing against, and you just see the level of expectation. If you want to be great, this is where you at with it.
Right.
You know, and so, I mean, like I said, that team I played with, I could go on down the list. Michael Waddell, who is that? Darren Durant, Sam Aiken. Everybody, these are guys that not only put the hat on but played for years, man. So and a lot of other teams, like, look, you can name drop a lot, but it's not only you play with those guys, but you know, we had a real good bond. I still have that bond to this day.
That's what I was gonna speak on, man, because a lot of people they that I've talked to, they played. Like some of the older guys, like you hear Oscar Robertson say, he didn't know what he was doing. You just had 70. You didn't know what you was doing. Your mindset and talking to these teammates and knowing even before you got to Carolina, the defense they had. When they start recruiting you for you to go there, that's a lot of. You feel me? You already know so. But let me say something else too that I want you to speak on, because I know you won't say it, but I've heard and I read and I know. And you put up, like, it was respect. Those guys respect you. It ain't just like the water boy from Lufkin, Texas. Like, no, you know some of those weight room records and some of those agility drills and speed drills. Like, you put on. You wasn't just there, like, trying to blend in. You came there to do something. Like, so you was aware of what you was doing. You're like a small-town Lufkin kid, which I ain't saying that's not a bad thing, getting into that environment. But you knew what you was doing. Like, you knew what you was up against.
Oh, yeah, man. I went to Carolina, man. I came in. I was the second fastest in the 40. I set the Carolina record in the broad jump and vertical leap. And those things were good, like the athletic. But you know what? I didn't know I was fast or I could jump so high because growing up in Lufkin, everybody dunking. Everybody fast.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't until you got to college and seen more on a national scale where you lined up at.
Right.
And it's funny that I felt like the scale in Lufkin was harder than the one in the nation.
Come on, man. That's crazy.
So at that period of time, I was there. So that's the reality of it. Nah, you know, you could talk about. I never growing up. It wasn't bragging about who was the fastest. Wow. Because growing up, you could show that the fastest person can get beat.
Right.
But what it did show me is every time you get up, you should compete to be the fastest. Yeah. You should always compete to be number one. So that right there, that gritty grind, work ethic, that's what took me there. Unfortunately. ACL twice.
I know that's what I was gonna get on next. I know it's kind of tough, but you know what I'm saying, for the younger guys that don't know, like, cause I mean I remember parts of it, but I know the story. But I don't want to, you know what I'm saying. But something happened at Carolina when you got hurt. But let's give a little background on how it happened.
Oh man, easy. You know, I got to Carolina. I was only I graduated. Let me get back to it. I graduated high school at 170 pounds. I got to Carolina, I'm thinking on cock, I was like 6'2", 183 pounds. But I was strong. Right. I felt like, but when I got there, I mean, I wanted to play. And what happened was, when I got to Carolina, it was the first time I really started lifting weights. So I went from 183 pounds for my freshman year to around 210, 215. And now once I put that type of weight on, you know, I felt like I was ready. So I redshirted, went to my freshman year. I was a backup. And by our third game, I was announced as a starter as a freshman.
Wow.
A redshirt freshman.
Come on,
and
man.
we had an off week, right?
Right.
We had an off week. Now, I played sparingly in the games as a backup.
Facts. Okay.
But as soon as I was announced as a starter, we had a week off before we played Georgia Tech. This is when they had Joe Hamilton there. This team was one of the top 10 teams in the nation. At that
They
point.
were in the option.
So yeah, they ready to give it to us. NFL running back Joe Burns going against those guys, and we had a little hazing process that we did. Like when you became a starter, you know, kind of like one of your passes, the right to passes type of things, and little Hastings. Then the guy started wrestling, one of my friends, and my foot got caught in the carpet, and I twisted my knee, and I thought it was just a little sprain, but it come to find out I tore my ACL. And back in the day, you know, there's a career killer. The procedures now are totally different,
right.
But then it was, and that began not necessarily the downfall. That's when the, you know, that's when the hard times started to hit. Right. The rehab process wasn't like it was now, not even the knowledge base. I came back, still running a 4.3. I was running a high 4.4, still having a 42-inch vertical leap. I got a 36-inch vertical leap. You know, those type of things. And for some people, that's good.
Right.
That's good for some people. But psychologically, where I was and where I was used to playing at, it wasn't the same. Right. And you started to doubt yourself. And, you know, you fight back to get from an injury. You only get re-injured again. And then I started saying, man, you just start thinking, what else can I do other than football? And that's when you got to start dealing with real life after that.
Right, but it wasn't over after that. You know,
it wasn't.
Like, what did you ended up putting on another jersey?
I did.
What happened with that? Like, how did you end up where you end up at?
Oh,
did you end up at?
So this is the thing. So at that point in time, we had a new coaching change in North Carolina. Coach Bunton came in, and when you got new coaches come in, they come try to bring in their guys.
They guys.
Now, I will tell you is I was too egotistical to do what I should have done. I was a safety. I played around 215 to 220 at 6'2" at that point. Yeah. And I could have easily made a transition linebacker.
That's what they do.
And they loved me. Actually, I used to do a lot of things, put me on safety blitzes. Yes. But guess what? You know, I was so keen on trying to show my high school coach, who told me I wasn't going to play. He told me I wasn't going to play D1 football at safety. And I wanted to show him so bad that I was going to play at safety. And I took it to heart, right? And instead of making that move, I was just too egotistical to set in my ways to make that move. So instead of moving linebacker, I ended up stopped playing football, and I stopped playing. I was done with the game, and I got a call from SFA, and they told me they was going to let me play safety. And I was like, yo, I'll do it because I know I'll need 1 year, and I'm going to hit this league.
Right.
As soon as I stepped on SFA campus, man, I got in, weighed in at 6'2", 229 at D1AA. So they didn't waste 1 minute putting me in safety. They put me right at linebacker. Right. I played it for a couple. I started. Right. I played for a couple games, and because I wanted to be that safety, I got discouraged. And I was like, yo, man, F this. I ain't going to play. I walked away from the game.
That's crazy. That's the size of the linebackers now in the day.
Hey, guess what? But I was nice at safety in my head. Right. But I didn't know. I didn't have that male figure to tell me about the game and the business aspect and how to market yourself. Knowing how, okay, listen, linebackers, because at Carolina, linebackers was 6'4", 250. NFL linebacker is about 6'2", 230 at that time, 225, 230. I didn't know that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And so now I understand. And the thing is, people always say, man, how good were you? You know, how we know you were as good? I tell you what, when I got hurt, anybody behind me, they went pro. You know what I'm saying? So that's what it was. But understanding, but not having that mentorship, not having that guidance, not having that understanding, I let my ego, I let my pride get in the way, and it created a path, a journey in life that didn't have to be so hard in that journey.
Right.
So yeah.
I want to touch on one more thing about the injury, because a lot of people get injured and they focus on, I used to run this, I used to jump this in the vertical, now jump this. A lot of people focus on what they can't do, but I want you to tell me, when you got injured, first of all, shout out for coming back, but when you got injured, what could you do better? What changed in your game after the injury? Like, what did you get better at that you didn't have? You know, like D Rose was so athletic in the NBA, and then they talk about when he came back, he had different parts of his game. He knew when to start, stop. He added little things to his game. So when you came back and played linebacker, even though it's a different position, but what about your game did you have after the injury that you didn't have before?
That was the first time I had to start becoming a student of the game.
Yeah, that's what
I started. I learned about, looking at tendencies, reading players, understanding the real snap count as I got closer to the line, understanding other players' tendencies, understanding schemes and different things like that. Like you know it in one aspect, but when you're lacking the speed that you have. But if you know where the player is going, you can play faster because you know where the player is going. Versus being reactive, you're proactive. Right. So that's those type of things are what it learning you to sharpen your skill out.
Right.
Be more proficient.
Right, man. I wanted to give you your flowers, man, as well as some other people that you name, man. I hope it's a lot of people, man, that come from that area. You name some of them, bro. It's big, man. And you guys are goats to a lot of people in a lot of our areas, man. Yeah, some of these guys are the first person to graduate high school in their family, you know what I mean? Right. And just because they didn't go to the ACC like you did or some things like that, they kind of look at it like, you know what I mean? Right. Bro, even some of these guys were the dudes, and like, give me a couple names, something to touch back on that, but when you got to the ACC and you look around, you naming Drake Blount, Algie Crumpler, you seeing these guys, but like you just said, high school and that level, it you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Who were some of those guys, man? Just real quick before we get out of here, like, who were some of those guys that due to unforeseen circumstances, they probably didn't get that chance, but talent-wise, well, they absolutely could have played at that level?
Number one, Michael White. He could have played the D1 level. He was 5'11", but he played at 6'4". He was an aggressive corner. Things that they look back, he could have great ball skills. He could hit like he was a linebacker, even though he was small in stature. He was a great D1 aspect. Jason Harper, one of the most naturally athletic guys I know.
Wow.
This type of dude can do a windmill with cowboy boots on. You know what I'm saying? He was just freakish nature type of guys that I seen growing up. Dackern Jones, just a natural football player. You know what I'm saying? Had good insight, good football intellect. He could just do that thing. But, after college, I don't know if that was on his radar, but Ross Berg, those type of guys who they was just aggressive for no reason, just strong. Right. We're talking about guys who were like, 5'9", 185 pounds, but can bench press 350.
Freaks.
Easy, you know what I'm saying? Just crazy. But, out of all those guys that I look back at, who had that potential, who didn't make it, I'll say Timothy Spencer.
Give me a little bit about Timothy.
Timothy Spencer was a 6 foot, 300-pound defensive tackle that probably can give you a legit 4'8", 4'8", give you 4'8", but at one point in time probably could give you a 4'6", but let's say good 4'8". Every part of what it takes when you just sit and walk out, strong lower body, strong upper body, fast as I don't know what. Could have had a better motor,
right?
But you get that in college. But if he would have made it to that level, definitely, I'm not gonna lie, like he was that guy.
Yeah,
he was that guy. Other people, they have their own stories.
Facts. And we're gonna get
I don't take nothing away from those, but if it was one guy, and it's between him and Michael White. Honestly, him and Mike, and I had a runner up for as a D1 that I seen who ended early. People may not know the name as much in that, but it's Kenneth LaRue. Yeah. Looking at it, 6'2", about 185 type of guy, but could put a lot more muscle on. Yeah. Before he tore his knee up, he was just as fast. Nice. He was just as fast. Yeah. He was just as strong. He could jump just as high. Yeah. He was a guy on his way to being that, you know.
Man.
But I can tell you, gotta understand that's a Lufkin standard.
Man,
at that
I
point.
know. That's what I.
But
That's why. Man, yeah.
that's why, as you say, who I can tell you, it can't name one because
Oh yeah.
it
I
like
wanted a list. I wanted a list. You did it. You did it.
that's what it was, man. And you know, you may see the guys I named who went D1, but everybody named that D1, they got pushed
Yeah.
by somebody else who was D1 behind them,
Right.
and somebody else was D1 in front of them. Somebody else who was that dude. Like everybody they had to eat humble pie to
Right.
get there. And that's one thing about the era I grew up in. I see all kind of posts with people who was top 5, top this and that.
Yeah.
I just came from a top notch city.
That's what I like. That's
So-
what I want to do on the Underground Go Show. I want to bring a lot of people in, but it's not a comparison. It's what to give y'all flowers because there's a lot of boys from that made it, that did halfway, whatever the case may be.
Mm-hmm.
But they were some of them ones. You know what I'm saying? And I like that. Like I'm a you know what I'm saying? A recruiting and all that. Like the talent at the high school level. I'm a junkie for that kind of stuff. So this stuff is kind of interesting to me. So I want to, you know what I'm saying, create a platform for some of them guys to kind of get their story out. So with that being said, I got 2 more questions before we get out of here.
Okay.
I want one of them to be, if like you had a game winning drive, scenario situation, right? You had a game. This is a game stopping drive. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, game
I
stopping.
want you to tell me, you know what I mean? Put you at safety. I want to know who you want to be in the foxhole with you at corner. The 2 corners, I want you to give me the 2 corners. It's a 2-part question. I want you to give me the 2 corners and the other safety with you. I want you to give me somebody that's anchoring the linebacker group, and then give me somebody on the D line. Who would you have out there with you if you just had to pick not one particular year, but just over all your high school years? Like who would you want out there with you at those positions in the secondary, in the linebacker group, and in the line?
I definitely. It's hard, man.
Come on,
because you want to sit there and name 2 people.
Well, give me 2. Who on the D line? Who the 2 on the D line that you got your faith in them to get to the quarterback? That running back get past you. Who the linebacker that's anchoring that telling that you got your linebacker, you got faith in them, and then you give me who you trust with you at the secondary spot and over there on the corners where you know I go to war with these guys. This 4th down drive, I'll put it all on this group right here.
All right, so this is my D line. Now, I'm gonna give you like this. I'm giving Curtis Murphy off the edge.
Oh, okay.
I'm giving you Mark Harris.
Mark Harris.
With Pete Dixon though. I'm giving you, I'm giving you Jamaris Dixon, and I'm giving you Jamaris Dixon up the middle, and I'm giving you from the edge. I'm giving you Curtis Murphy.
Okay, and then that linebacker group, like who you got holding that down? Let's go.
Like I said, you remember the guys that went D1 I told you?
Right.
But he didn't go.
Oh man.
But because he wasn't the biggest guy, but he was the biggest linebacker.
Yeah.
So that's Wilbur Smallwood.
That's
but
not
he
Smallwood.
played.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna have that dude. Like
I need to get Wilbur.
but that's the cruncher. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He hit boys cruncher. Just that's who I would be my linebackers. My corners, definitely Jerry McLeod. People, you got all these other guys in there right there.
You do.
But stats don't lie.
Okay.
When I'm gonna say Jerry McLeod in one corner, I'll say the other corner, I would still put Michael White at the other corner.
Wow.
And some people say, "Oh, that's your class." No, I'm telling you that these guys it's the proof in the pudding.
Right.
And why I say that is that secondary only gave up an average of 80 yards a game.
And y'all was
Right.
Bro.
And I say that with those guys, and trust me, you had what was the guy named Adams who came after this? He was All-American. Was it Quintus Adams?
Quint played linebacker.
Quint played linebacker. Yeah, you got those guys who came behind, right?
Yeah. Lee Brandon them. They
Look,
were
LeBrandon Shepard, all those guys, All-American. LeBrandon Shepard, number 1, right? But they tell you who showed the way for him. Now, I can't say LeBrandon because I didn't play with him after he developed.
Yeah,
I want to speak on her. Now, if I go off the height, we can say, man, I got Dez Bryant at receiver. I got Denver's Mans at running back. You know what I'm saying? NCAA records type of stuff.
Yeah.
But when I played,
Facts.
not saying who's the best because they wasn't in every situation. They didn't play.
Exactly.
The game was changed at different times. But those guys would be the guys that.
Who the other safety with you?
The other safety? Man, Michael James.
Michael James. Okay.
And
Michael
guess what?
James.
And I put Terrence Kill out there. You know what I'm saying?
R.I.P. to the GOAT. For
You know,
real.
and I'd rather come off the bench.
Yeah, okay.
You know what I'm
well,
saying?
okay, that's
you know,
cool.
and the thing about it is like I said, people don't know that much. Sometimes because when I left Lufkin, I didn't come back that much. I didn't come, and not because I didn't love Lufkin, because me coming back, I knew my traps in life.
Right.
If I came back, when I faced hardships and barriers, I would have stayed in Lufkin. I would have ran home.
Yeah.
So when I went through my stuff, my ACL and stuff, I didn't run home because I would have stayed there because it was easy to stay.
What gave you that, bro? Like,
But
what gave
man, you know what? Honestly, be quite honest, man. My family.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? My mom raised me to be real independent and strong. But the things that kept my moral compass right was the group of friends that I grew up around at that point in time.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is everybody was going through their own paths, but the encouragement that you received during that time. But I also knew in Lufkin, if I come back to Lufkin,
Right. Yeah.
it's a trap.
Yeah.
If I come back, you ain't gonna leave.
Okay.
So even through after football, all that stuff, when I was getting my stuff together, I couldn't come home until I set out to do and be the person that I supposed to be.
That's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, man.
The last one I got for you, man, is a quick one, but it's just if you had to choose, and you played in the ACC, man, so you know you a good person to answer this question, but if you had to choose, man, what would you rather play up under? Friday night lights or those Saturday morning like college football atmosphere? Because let me stop, bro. Because the reason I want to give y'all boys y'all flowers on the Underground Gold Show, like you said, it's a lot of people that didn't necessarily get to experience that level, but man, it's a reason that these recruiters come down through East Texas and make on these recruiting trails because of y'all guys, man. But we used to look at TV on Saturday morning and try to look at the back of a jersey, catch somebody on special teams, you know what I'm saying? But now it's plentiful. You might have to split between channels to watch some of these guys these days, but they don't know the stuff that y'all went through. But you know what I'm saying? That's kind of going back. But I just want to ask, like, if you had to choose, what would you do? Friday night? You want to play in the Friday night light atmosphere, or that college football like on Saturday? Just, you know what I mean? If you had one more game, you could do it one more time. Which one would it be?
College.
It'd be college.
I'm gonna tell you why. Because the amount of work you put into that one day. That one day, you don't get the hours, the pain, the grit, the grind, the adversity, the triumph, the falls you get for that one day. What you see on Saturday is the end product, but what it takes to put into that, what it takes to put in that one play you make to dominate that guy, the years of work or that offseason you had to go through to become that guy to be dominant like that skill set you had to learn, nah, man.
Yeah.
In high school,
you can get away with
it. My coach used to say, you out-athlete them, huh?
Mm-hmm.
And you can get away with the high school.
Right.
You get to that major level of true competition.
I like that perspective.
You really stay at mano a mano.
Right.
It's that who off season was better, yours or mine.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that those Saturdays, bruh, you looking at dudes who I'm trying to save my family, bruh.
Oh, for real.
The only way my family can eat if I run you over.
Come on, man.
You had some kids who had kids or children already, so they really plan because they can try to put food in their kids' mouth.
Real life.
So if you want to talk, you gotta remember, it's cool to get to the league, but everybody trying to get there, and stay in the league is even hard. It's hard because you playing with guys who got mortgages and child support and everything they're trying to do also. It's a business.
Right.
But to get there, the NFL is the best of the rest, the guys who made it. But the guys who broke themselves up to try to get that hope, man, it's nothing like it, man. You gotta remember, we all trying to get to this one little narrow tunnel.
Right.
And when you're trying to get to that narrow tunnel, man, you know how really you get.
Real.
So yeah, man, like passion, love in high school, playing for your family in the stands and stuff like this. But when you get you get on that college game, man, it's a different brotherhood.
Yeah.
It's a different brotherhood. Hours that go into that, bro.
Right.
Yeah, that Saturday is something different, man.
Yeah.
That's why some of those friendships and teammates you have in college are gonna be your life friends, because with y'all experience, parents ain't there.
Facts.
You know, nobody's there to help you get up, get you through things. It's that brotherhood. So, playing with those guys on Saturdays, man, nothing like it.
Man, listen, I definitely respect you, bro, on another level. Every time I've came out, You showed me a good time on the town. You know what I'm saying? And I could tell you solid with those guys in college too, bro, because I've been down, down there. I won't put your business where you stay. I don't know if you want that. I've
Don't
been,
matter, man.
I've been to the A, man, and I've seen some of those college guys, even, you know what I'm saying, after the age of y'all playing and those, they still come back to your crib. They still, you're just a big time guy. Sometimes you still got that relationship, but that also shows the type of person you is and the type of people that come from Lufkin. You know what I'm saying? So like that's big as well, man.
Because it's we talk about the game, the tackles and stuff, but also, outside the game, character,
Right.
morals, people that know you're a good person, God-fearing man, you know what I'm saying, those type of things, and people know you have a loyalty to you, and you stand up for something, and know you're not a dude who's gonna lead them down the wrong path.
Right.
And so you build those friendships that turn into the family that you chose, not the one you was born into, but those the family that you chose. So creating those bonds, and like you. Yeah, I can name a long list and go through his phone, see all kind of names on his phone or whatever. But all that happened because where I was raised, man. The humility that you're raised with, the pure friendships, the pushing, the competitive edge, all that was pure from where I grew up from.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And those same days, like you said, the East-West thing, it started there, dude. It started at Little League playing against each other. But you got the East and West, but those are your brothers at the end of the day. So we got to get there on a Saturday and practice. Think about it. That's your first introductory of somebody that's your friend and your enemy at the same time.
Nah, for real.
But you got to learn how to separate it.
Right.
And that's where that maturity comes in. So, yeah, man. I speak passionate about that.
Yeah,
man,
I know.
But, the thing about it is, I would say, if I had anything to say at the end, man, was, it's crazy what we learned in the game is so applicable to life now.
Right.
Because we are still in the trenches, some of us in life. Some of us still getting tackled. Some of us still trying to get up. Some of us still are healing. Some of us still are triumphant. Yeah. But it's those things that we learned before that are the pillars. And they are the bricks that are of our foundation that we have. So.
Yeah, man, I sure appreciate it, man. I'm gonna let you. Hey, man, that's been another episode of the Underground Ghost Show, man. Tune in, man. Like, share, subscribe, hit that notification, man, so you don't miss another episode, man. Appreciate y'all for tuning in.